All right, so in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to do some research into finding peer-reviewed research, peer-reviewed articles that'll be relevant for the piece that you're preparing to write and then turn into a graphic explainer video. It's going to be really important for us to find authoritative sources for what we're trying to tell, the story that we're trying to tell, and we're doing real research for this. So to start, I'm going to go to MyGVU, and you have access to some library research materials. If you just search library, you'll see a couple results up here. What we want is here's this one right here, the second one, search library resources. This will take us to our library resources page. Now, even though you are logged into MyGVU when you do this, when you get to the library page, you still need to go up here and click on sign in. And it should just refresh the page and sign you right in. You should see your name up there. And yeah, that's my legal name, Clinton with a K, really goofy. Anyway, so you're here, you're ready to find something. What I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm going to research as if I was making a video that a student made in a previous semester about Godzilla. He wanted to make an explainer video about the origins of Godzilla, something interesting about how the Godzilla story came about. And that's great. That can be really useful. So I'm going to, in my search bar, I'm just going to start with a very simple search. I'm going to search for Godzilla. And that's it, just Godzilla. Okay, now I'm going to see lots of different kinds of things here. Not all of them are going to be related to the movie. Some of them will be totally different things. There are, for example, certain kinds of storms that are called Godzilla storms. And so that's why I see this journal of the American Meteorological Society, right, talking about the storm called Godzilla. And that's not relevant to what I'm looking for, unless I decide I'm interested in that. But what I'm going to do is first, I'm going to go to my left side here. I'm going to search peer-reviewed journals only, because if I don't do this, Grandview's library search will show me everything, even including stuff that's not peer-reviewed. But I want peer-reviewed journals only. I also want stuff that has full text online so I can see it. And I'll do held by library so that maybe I can get a print copy of it from the library. Then down here where it says language, I'm going to choose English. And that's all I need to search for right now. Then I will do apply filters. And I got a bunch of different stuff here. It looks like actually what's happened is because I've done held by library, I'm not seeing as much, right? Because the library might not have as much physical copies of things. So I'm going to remove this filter, held by library, to try to expand a little bit more. So now I'm looking in peer-reviewed journals, full text online, in English. And I'm seeing a few things here. Of course, this one here is called Spawning Godzilla. This one is about a weather pattern called Godzilla. That's not going to be relevant to what I'm talking about. Then this is the same thing. This is actually about something in the sky, in the stars. This is people who study what am I looking for? Astronomy, right? That's not necessarily relevant to what I'm looking for. So I want to try to maybe narrow this down a little bit more. I'm going to search Godzilla. And then this time, the person who was making this video, he was interested, he had read something about the origin of Godzilla being that people in Japan were really nervous about nuclear warfare. He was really curious about that. So I can narrow it down a little bit more. I'm just going to type in Godzilla nuclear. And that's it. Then I'm going to make sure I go to my search tools again. I'm going to do peer-reviewed journals. I'll do full text online. There also are these little subjects here you can look at. These are kind of relevant here. I could look at motion pictures, nuclear weapons, this kinds of things. I'm going to close this for now, but you can do that to narrow things down. And then for language, I'm going to make sure that I'm looking at English sources because you will see sources in other languages. I'm going to apply filters. And there's some interesting articles here. This one here is from a journal. The article is called Art and Nuclear Culture. It is from a peer-reviewed journal. The journal is actually this is a peer-reviewed source though. What I need is a peer-reviewed source. I know it's peer-reviewed because it says peer-reviewed right here, and I can read this whole thing by clicking on one of these links. So I'm going to click on this first one here. And it's going to take me right here to this full PDF text. Not actually a super long article. You can see it's only 18 pages long, but it's definitely relevant to what I need. And it's from this journal called the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, which is an important article to read. So I'm gonna read this article, find something that might be relevant for what I'm trying to say. It's got some really interesting stories here. And one thing is also at the end of this article, one thing that could be useful is I can look at the references section. And there are a lot of references here that might also be somewhere where I want to continue picking up, right? So, for example, this is an article by brothers called Mushroom Clouds and Mushroom Men, The Fantastic Cinema of Ishiro Honda. This might be useful for what I want to do, and maybe I can look up that book in the library research as well. But I have lots of different things here that I can look at, different things that might be relevant to me later on as I do a different search. But if you found something that's relevant, if you found something that is relevant, that's taught you something new that you didn't know before, bookmark this for yourself. Make sure you can find this later. And then for what you're going to submit, what I need is this right here, the citation. So if you're in MyGVU's library resource tools and you click on citation, Granview will just create a citation for you. And this is what you should copy and then paste into the assignment. So you click copy on this, and then go ahead and you'll make a Word document or something like that. I'll go ahead and open up Word, Microsoft Word. There's my application here. And by the way, there are a bunch of different ways you can cite this, right? There's APA, there's MLA, there's Chicago, there's Harvard. There's all these different kinds of ways to cite this. You can just use APA. It's fine. I don't really actually care which one you use. I'm going to copy this citation and go into Microsoft Word on my computer, make a new document. Of course, you can write your name in this document so I know who it is. But this is where you're going to make something called an annotated bibliography. You'll start by pasting in, just right-clicking and pasting in that citation, right? That's the citation here. And then what I'd like for you to do is to write a 150-word summary of the article, followed by, in addition to that, how this article is relevant to your explainer video. How this article is relevant to your explainer video. So it's a 100-word summary of the article, plus, in addition to those 150 words, how this article is relevant to your explainer video. So you'll do that, and then for this explanation, next to your explanation, make sure to indent it using this tool here, so that it's a little bit easier for me to look at. So you found one source. We found this source by Bruegger. And then let's close out of this. Let's see if there's other sources that might be relevant to us, that might be relevant for what we're trying to do. And let's see. This one also seemed kind of interesting. It's the fear of the biological effects of radioactivity. Let's say I read this one. It seemed really interesting. I use my citation tool. It develops a citation for me. I copy this citation, go into Word, and then I will go down, paste that in, and then in the next paragraph, write my 150-word summary and how it's relevant to me. I'd like you to do this for at least 3 sources, and they should all be peer-reviewed sources. That means that there are sources that you're not just finding them from an online magazine or from someone's blog or something like that, but we're looking at peer-reviewed sources. Research is hard. You're gonna run into a lot of dead ends. You're gonna find a lot of articles that are totally not relevant to what you're doing at all. And this is what scholars do. You get really good at finding the sources that are really good, and this is why it's valuable, because a lot of people don't want to go through the work of finding this kind of thing, and that's why a lot of misinformation gets spread. So you're going to find your 3 sources, your 3 peer-reviewed sources. You'll drop them into a Word document. Please do them in alphabetical order of the author, right? And as well as your description of what they are. And that's what I expect for the assignment. Good luck. Okay, one more note on this. So what I was looking at before was research about Godzilla, which is something that's kind of old. It's something that happened a long time ago, right? Those movies were first made quite a long time ago, and it might be easier for me to find peer-reviewed research about those specific movies or the specific origin of Godzilla. But let's say that I'm researching something that's more recent. Let's say I'm researching I'm making an explainer video about the Rihanna halftime performance at the Super Bowl in 2023. It's going to be hard for me to find anything specifically about that because peer-reviewed research takes a long time. It takes months to write and research. It takes months for it to be published. So I'm not going to find anything specifically in peer-reviewed sources about Rihanna's halftime performance. So what I'm going to have to do instead is use a little bit more general terms, right? I just want to learn a little bit more about Super Bowl halftime performances in general. And maybe as I'm doing that, I will find some research that's relevant for what I want to say or what I want to learn about Rihanna, what I want to explain. So I'm going to search Super Bowl halftime performance. Just try that. Then I'm going to do peer-reviewed journals. I'm going to try to find stuff. I'm going to ignore full text on that. I'm just going to see what I can find here. Just peer-reviewed journals, apply those filters. And I found this one here. It says, Let's Get Loud, intersectionally studying the Super Bowl's halftime show. I'm just curious what this might be. This is a big word. I don't really know what this word means, but let's just go ahead and keep going into my abstract right here, the description, which can tell me a little bit about what this is. So this is really interesting. This seems like it might be relevant to me. It is about the 2020 halftime show with Shakira and Jennifer Lopez. And if I'm making a video that is explaining something about maybe the gender politics of Rihanna's halftime show, this might be relevant for me. So I can click here to see this article. Wait for this to load. And this is great. And I can download this PDF and use that. I think that would be really relevant for me. It's a free PDF download. I can download that and read it. And again, make sure you use your citation tool to cite it and add it to your bibliography. Now, let's say that there's a different source that you want to find. Let's say I'm looking for Super Bowl halftime performance, but I actually want this book here. This particular book might be really interesting for me. It is peer-reviewed. And let's see if I go through my search. And let's say that my search doesn't work for some reason. This one works great. This is great. This totally works as well. This could be relevant for me. But it looks like I've only got maybe kind of limited. No, I mean, this actually works for me okay. But let's say I have a different source here, because this will happen sometimes with your searches that you'll do sometimes. I'm going to reset my filters here. I'm just going to do Super Bowl halftime here. Make this a little bit easier. Super Bowl halftime. I'm going to search only peer-reviewed journals. Maybe by subject, I might do something like musical performances, maybe television programs, singers, maybe try that. Then do apply my filters. This also looks like an interesting article that might be relevant for me. This seems like it could be good. But let's say I open it up and it isn't something I have access to. So here, yeah, this is one where I have access to the abstract. The abstract is kind of like it's kind of like a back of the book description of what this is. But let's say that I can't access the PDF for some reason. It looks like this one I can just download it. But let's say for some reason I can't do it or it's not working or something like that. And I really want to read this. If you run into that problem, if you're coming to an article that you think might be relevant, but you can't access it for some reason, there's a solution to that problem. Here's what you do. Go to citation and then get your citation ready to go. Copy the citation, and then just send an email to the library. So I've got an email drafted here. Just type in library, and it'll just send an email to library@grandview.edu. Let them know you have a request or a source request or something like that. Tell them, hello, I'm looking for, can you help me access the following or something like that. Give them citation. And then they will help you access that. If you're having an issue for some reason, the library will help you. The librarian, it's their job. They'll help you find this. If you give them the citation, that makes it really easy for them, and they'll be able to help you with that. The thing to remember again is with all of this stuff, you might not necessarily find something that's specific to what you're talking about. Right? None of these articles are about Rihanna specifically, but they might be really relevant. I might learn something, and I might be able to make a better explainer video because I've kind of looked a little bit more generally. So that's just my other bit of advice for you as you're doing this research.